Welcome to my second attempt of filming this pet pairing video. Yesterday I went home super happy because the morning before that I had filmed a video for what has to be one of my favorite looks that I've done for this series, and I really enjoyed how the video turned out and the whole chatty situation. And I went home and I imported the videos into my iMovie, and I couldn't find like the middle portion of my footage. This is Glowless by Auric, by the way. So I realized that my stupid camera hadn't recorded or had deleted. I don't really know how that works, but basically the short story is my camera is a present that I got from my brother 7 years ago. It's a Nikon camera and it doesn't even have like a lens with which I can zoom, and I am like left-handed and incapacitated when it comes to figuring stuff out with photography. I just don't know shit about it. I find it super tedious because it's not a hobby that I'm super interested in. So basically, I'm super fucking grateful that I have this camera. I don't want to change it. I love it. A few weeks ago, I discovered, taking my Claire Insistent Concealer by the way, that one of the batteries, because the camera comes with two batteries, that one of the batteries just like wouldn't fit anymore inside, you know, the placeholder for it. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I asked my dad, because it was at the time my parents were here, and my dad is huge into photography. So I was like, Dad, something super strange is going on with my camera. Like, it doesn't, like, the battery doesn't fit. It seems like it has expanded. And I didn't know that that's a thing that can happen. I thought about it later and I was like, oh yeah, that actually seems pretty fucking logical. But I didn't know that your battery expanding can be, you know, something that can happen, but it is. And one of the batteries of my camera had expanded to the point where my dad said, I don't think you should try to put it in your camera anymore. I think it's dangerous. I think you might end up ruining the whole thing. So I tossed the battery and I was left with only one battery. But the problem is that when you're in the process of filming, sometimes your battery runs out and then you still need to finish like just a few minutes of footage, so you need an extra battery. And I thought I need to like go out and buy like a whole new Nikon battery, and my dad said no, that's absolutely not necessary. You can buy, you know, from another brand something a little bit cheaper. So that's what I did, taking my Dior backstage now. So I found the cheapest batteries I could find and I bought two of them. And thank goodness I bought two of them, because as I found out, the stupid fucking things can barely film for 20 minutes. So my camera films 20-minute videos and then it stops filming. I don't have a flippy thing, so I can't see what's going on. I don't have a mirror that fits in the back. I have no fucking clue what's going on right now. My camera could be recording, not recording, who the fuck knows. I have a little mirror here with which I manually check every now and then whether it's recording. But basically I have no other way of knowing that whether my camera is recording. So usually my regular battery of my camera can last for 2.5 videos, so that is 2 times 20 minutes and a little bit longer. And usually when it stops recording, or at least I can remember that being my experience, it just kind of like cuts me off mid-sentence, and then I know that I'm missing a few minutes or however long from the footage, which is usually not such a big deal. But yesterday, after the 20 minutes, I thought, it seems like this battery can go a bit longer, so I'll just put it in for the next 20 minutes and then I will change the battery before I film my outro, because it happened once before that I saw, thank goodness on time, that my outro wasn't there because the camera has stopped recording. So I already knew that that new battery really can't go for that long. But what I didn't realize is that when it had stopped recording yesterday, and I noticed that it had stopped recording towards the end of the video, which was also not such a big deal. I thought that most of the video was recorded. Taking my Hourglass Moonlight finishing powder now, but then as it turned out, the most important part of the video, which was the part of the video where I applied all the fun shades on my lids, was just not there at all. Like, he had not cut me off mid-sentence, he just basically hadn't recorded anything. Super fucking annoying. So I was already pretty irritated because of something that happened at work, and this was just the cherry on the pie. And then I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to redo this look. But I really love the look, you guys, so I thought I'm going to ask you on Instagram whether you would like to see it, and a couple of you did respond with a yes, which in my book is more than enough to redo the look, basically. I am going to now do my bronzer, and for my bronzer, what am I doing for my bronzer? Am I doing the same I did yesterday? Maybe I am. I'm just going to repeat everything that I did yesterday because I just liked the whole look so much. I'm going to take my Chanel Soleil Teint de Chanel cream bronzer now. That's, you know, a little bit of, you know, behind the scenes frustrations. That happens, you know, a lot. I know for some people they end up... Why the hell are you not? For some people I know that sometimes they don't have audio when they're recording. I don't have that problem. My audio is pretty okay for the camera that I have. I don't need a microphone. I'm also standing pretty close to the camera, so I think that helps. But you know, these are some of the frustrations that people who create content deal with. Things get, you know, not recorded or recorded without a sound, or for whatever reason your file is corrupted and it cannot be imported. I've seen it all. I'm going to also take the blush that I used yesterday, which is Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath. I absolutely adore this blush and I just want to use it every day. I could probably use it every day, but it's... The matter of fact is I have a gazillion other blushes which also need to get some love. But, truth be told, I could probably wear this blush every fucking day and I would die a happy, happy panda. Anyway, tomorrow is D-Day, and by D-Day I mean the release of the Utopian Dream palette from Pat McGrath. She has changed her release day. I anticipated that the release would be as usual on a Friday, but she has changed release day to Thursday, which is fine. I have to wait one day less. So I'm curious, are any of you getting the palette upon release date? I know a lot of you were quite hesitant with this particular release because... And I think it's a fair point. Some people have been joking that the palette may be called Utopian Dream, but in reality it's just a Divine Rose 3. I'm taking my beloved Skin Fetish Trio highlighter. I'm going to mix these two shades for my highlight today. And I totally understand the frustration, you guys. I still hope that when I hold the palette in my hands, I will have no regrets. And I will be super happy that I purchased it and it will be a treasured new addition to my collection. But I totally get why a lot of you were disappointed and why you are hesitating buying this full price on release date. So I'm curious, did any of you decide to pick it up after all on release date, or are you going to wait a little bit? Not only will I be picking up the palette on release day, but I'm once again going to make a feeble attempt at getting expedited shipping from Dame Pat. Let's see whether it works out this time around. I'm going to pick up, by the way, the palette and the Intensifies because I'm super curious about it. I've been seeing people make comments as if it's some sort of like a magical potion that will all of a sudden turn their colors into something else. You guys, it's just a fucking glitter glue, or at least I'm 99.99% certain that it's just glitter glue in a pen form. It's not going to magically transform a pink eyeshadow into a blue one, because that's what your heart desires. Although there is like a lavender blue duochrome in the palette, but that's not what the wand is going to do, okay? It's just a fucking glitter glue. So I am going to pick it up. I'm kind of hoping that you will have some sort of a set where you can pick up the two for a smaller price, because I saw that Dame Pat has increased the prices of her Mothership palettes. They used to cost, for us, 130 euros, and now it costs 135 euros. And that fucking magic wand is also not cheap, it's 34 euros. So the way it's going, I may even qualify for expedited shipping without having to buy that extra. Let's hope that's really the case. Okay, let's move into the eye look, shall we? So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to grab my Midnight Sun palette, where I'm going to take this shade in my crease and this shade in the usual like winged out shape here in the outer corner of my eye. When it comes to Pat and her shipping, I'm starting to look like one of those, you know, hopelessly optimistic people that everyone knows are fighting a lost cause and only they are not aware of that. That's just me with her expedited shipping. I'm just going to keep trying. And, you know, worst case scenario, I'll pay for it, she won't deliver, and then I will demand a refund. And that will be that. I will be honest with you though, I have noticed that this is probably the first time that I am not as pumped for a release, especially of a Mothership palette, as I usually would be. And I think that's also a sign that I am done a little bit with the pink leaning color story, and I think like, oh yeah, it would be really nice to get another Mothership palette. I'm definitely going to enjoy it, but I'm not like, yay, I'm getting a new Mothership palette. I'm just a bit more, not reserved, but like, laid back about it, which is not how I usually feel about Pat McGrath releases. Usually I'm super pumped about them. There is still hope, of course, that the holiday collection will be something really fun and different, and that's going to come relatively soon. Actually, it's already like mid-August, and last year she released the holiday collection, or like at least the teasers for it, already in mid-September. So in a month from now we're going to get a pretty good idea what's coming in the holiday collection this year, and we can just keep hoping that it's going to be something more exciting than pinks. If you followed me on Instagram, I shared a couple of photos from a little town that I visited with my friends over the weekend. We had like a long child-free weekend away, and if you're a parent of a toddler, or a parent generally speaking, you probably know what I'm talking about. The best holiday ever, the one where your kid isn't present. As much as I adore Nicola, honestly, I do appreciate a day or two where I don't have to hear the word mama, mama, mama repeated 100,000 times. My friend group is like 2 other couples, and one of them also has a small child. The other couple has a really gorgeous big dog, and we've already done this trip like with the 6 of us several times, so by now we are like a well-oiled machine. We know exactly what we need to take with us in terms of like equipment, because we go to houses which are pretty well equipped, but for instance I always take my espresso machine because we all like good coffee. We take a bunch of other things that the house may not have, like a big casserole or a huge pan if we want to do like a roast or something. And half of us are really into cooking extensive delicious meals, and the rest are, you know, they appreciate good food, but left to their own devices they would probably eat frozen pizza, noodles and junk food, and they would hate themselves in the end of the weekend, but given the chance they would do it all over again. So the 3 of us, my 2 other friends who enjoy cooking and I, we always come up with a menu prior to leaving. We have a pretty good idea what we're going to need in terms of ingredients, and we make a list of everything. And the first 2 times, so this time we went to a little town in Germany called Winterberg, which is about 3 hours drive away from the city where I live. And the previous 2 times we went to Belgium. And the first time we did this trip, we actually didn't, we decided to just buy food locally and go to a Belgian supermarket to stock up on whatever we needed for food, and that was a huge fucking mistake, because I don't know whether we just like went into the wrong supermarket, but it was like literally the only supermarket in the area. We were pretty shocked at the prices of everything. Everything was super expensive. It didn't seem like the vegetables didn't seem to be of an overwhelming quality. We ended up buying like a piece of like packaged meat, which we didn't see, but like it had already molded, and we paid like 11 euros for that. We also bought like the teeniest, tiniest little box of raspberries, which we also didn't see were already molding, and they were like 5 euros or something. So it was super expensive. We were super annoyed. And then the time after, we also went to Belgium, but we stocked up on food. I'm taking my glitter glue now, by the way. This is Pixie Poxy by Fiorini. Oh yeah, something that was really bizarre about the Belgian supermarket. They didn't have fresh milk. All the milk they had was that stuff that you can just keep at room temperature for months and months and months, and that's not fucking milk, okay? So that was one of the most shocking things. Like, there was no fresh milk. Really strange. Anyway, so the second time around we went to the local supermarket, which is not exactly cheap. Like, food in the Netherlands definitely isn't cheap, but at least it's really good quality, and we know what to expect, and we knew exactly the types of things to get. But like I said, this trip was to Germany, to the little town called Winterberg, and we already knew from experience, because we live very close to the border with Germany and we've done groceries in Germany before, that food there is significantly cheaper, and especially meat. Meat is of better quality because you can get like actual fresh meat from like the stand in the supermarket. They don't have that here. They just have the pre-packaged meat. You have to go to a special place if you want to get the fresh meat, like the cut at the spot. I'm taking the Midnight Sun palette now, and I'm going to use this shade over the outer half of my lid and over top of this brown. And something that I didn't do yesterday, but I think I'm going to do today, I'm going to apply a little bit of this shade on like the very center of the lid. And I don't know what you guys think, but this is my least favorite shade in the Midnight Sun palette. It's just so meh, especially for it being a special shade. So I always struggle incorporating it into looks. I've tried putting it on my lid a couple of times and I always feel like I need to cover it with a bunch of other things to make it work. I'm taking the beautiful olive green now. I love this shade. So we did all of our groceries in the local supermarket in Winterberg, and it was amazing because we paid basically like 130 euros for 6 people for all the food we needed for the 2 days that we were there. It was amazing. And we cooked a really delightful meal. We made Portuguese roast, which I don't know why it's called a Portuguese roast, because the only Portuguese thing about it was that my friend put a bit of piri-piri sauce in the marinade, and piri-piri is like a traditional Portuguese hot sauce, but for the rest it was a pretty traditional roast. You marinate the meat, you throw it in the casserole with veggies, you bake it for a really long time, and it's a roast, like it's a traditional roast. But anyway, he called it a Portuguese roast, so it stuck. And yeah, you can tell what my priorities are, because instead of telling you about my friends, I'm telling you about the food we had. I'm pretty sure I also took more pictures of the food than I did of my friends. So, there you have it. Mariam has priorities, and we always have a really good time together. We hike a little bit, we play board games, we dance. I'm taking this unremarkable shade now onto the more center portion of my lid, right here. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice shade, but just don't find it to be a very remarkable one. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like this shade? Do you enjoy it? I am not particularly fond of it. Anyway, now I'm going to go into the really fun shade of this look, and that is this beautiful shade over here. This is the shade VR Nectar from Mothership to Sublime, which is a gorgeous, like, peachy pink to a golden lime duochrome. The texture, the shine, everything about this shade is just sheer fucking perfection. And can you see these little like bumps over here, like the little bumps in the center? The horror. I think this is the pan of this eyeshadow. And no, I'm not happy about panning an eyeshadow, especially this one. I'm actually mourning having panned this eyeshadow. I will rebuy the whole fucking palette if I ever pan this shade for real. I cannot live without VR Nectar. I'm going to take this shade basically now all over the rest of the shades on the lid, especially over top of the unremarkable golden green from Midnight Sun, and a little bit over top of Wicked Envy. I think it's called Wicked Envy. And the thing is, when you layer VR Nectar over top of Wicked Envy, I don't know whether you can see it, you basically create the most beautiful multichrome shade, because you get that deep olive green base with the lime peachy pink duochrome to it, and it is absolutely mesmerizing to look at. In my humble opinion, VR Nectar is one of the most beautiful VR Blitz Astro shades that Mother Dame has ever created. If she re-promotes that shade in another palette, I certainly wouldn't be mad about it. I'm now going to take a smaller shader brush like this one. This is from Sonia G. It was part of her Keyaki set. And I am going to take, I think, this shade, mixed in a little bit with this shade as my inner corner highlight. Because yesterday I had the Skin Show shade from the Midnight Sun palette, and I didn't think that was the most ideal inner corner highlight shade, so today I decided to just pull out my Skin Fetish Trio, and I think that actually fits the look a lot better. I'm also going to use whatever is left on the brush to highlight here underneath my brow bone very, very gently. So Winterberg is this really small town, kind of, you know, hugged in the mountains, and it's a very touristic place. In the winter it's a very popular like ski resort, and in the summer and springtime it's still a popular place, but to like go hiking and cycling, and apparently like bromance trips, because I swear to God we saw at least 3 or 4 like groups of men either cycling or hiking or having a beer in the city. So apparently Winterberg is a very popular place for bromance trips. I'm going back into the Midnight Sun palette, and I'm basically going to mirror what I did on my upper lid. I'm going to take the shade in the outer part here, I'm going to take Wicked Envy over here, and I'm going to layer the tiniest bit of VR Nectar just to finish off the look. But the weather was predicted to be pretty horrible. We expected that it would be cold and rainy the whole weekend. In the end, it was okay. It was not super warm, but it was also not raining, and we even saw the sun for a little bit. So we went out for a hike, and by hike I mean we walked to the city through like the more hikey route. We got a coffee, and then the girls, me and my two girlfriends, the shopping queens, we went to DM, which is going to be difficult to explain unless you live in the Netherlands, but DM is a drugstore like any other, and the equivalent here is called Kruidvat. For those of you living in the Netherlands, you very well know what I'm talking about. And the difference between the two in terms of prices is just so disturbing. Like a shampoo here that costs 5 euros will cost €1.50 across the border in DM, and for us living in the city where I live, that's just like literally like 10 minutes by car. So it's a really remarkable difference, and usually we would go and stock up on things in DM every few months, but since the pandemic we haven't really been to DM much, so we were like hungry bears there, trying to stock up on whatever we can. You know, we went to DM and we told the boys to go get the car because we didn't want to walk back. That's the amount of hiking we did. Taking VR Nectar now, here on the inner portion. And the last finishing touch will be this Kiko eyeshadow stick in the number 46. It is a very beautiful duochrome shade. It's basically this olive green with a peachy pink duochrome to it. It looks really beautiful on the lid, but I use it a lot in my waterline, and it just complements this look and elevates it to the level of sheer perfection, if I may say so myself. You know what? I'm actually kind of glad we got to do this look again, because I think the 2.0 looks a little bit better than the previous iteration of it. I actually think that boring shade from the Midnight Sun palette, that one here, really added something to the look. And like, let's be clear, that shade is still boring, but VR Nectar really elevated it, and like VR Nectar elevates everything to a whole new level because it's such a phenomenal shade. This look is the exact reason why I adore Pat McGrath's eyeshadow so much, because if you have these palettes, you don't have to go and buy Cliona multichromes or whatever multichromes, because you basically can create multichromes by layering her eyeshadows. They allow for layering, and they create the most beautiful effects when you use them over top of each other, and it kind of eliminates the need for buying those multichrome shades. Oh, and just very quickly, before I forget, what I have on my lips is a combination of a lipstick and a gloss. The lipstick is this beautiful shade from Urban Decay. It's the shade Epigram. Unfortunately, this lipstick was part of a limited edition collection, and it never became available in their regular line, which is really a shame. It would definitely be one of the colors of lipsticks that I would really miss in my collection if I didn't have it, because it's such a beautiful, like, light camel toned nude brown. And over top of that I have one of Pat's Opulous glosses. This is the shade Dreamscape, and mine comes in a tiny little package because it was part of a mini trio set. This is a gorgeous, like, bronzy, lime green, pinky, multichrome lip gloss, and I think it ties the look even more perfectly together. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look. Let me know whether you're going to be picking up Utopian Dream tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!